Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for the first in our webinar series, looking at iplanit, the iplanit digital social care record system, looking at various parts of the system and also how Spirico support providers, things like that. I'm joined today by Lisa Jane Humphreys. She's Spirico's International Client Director and has been with us for 10 years now. And prior to that, Lisa Jane's worked in the social care sector, as do most of our client management teams here in the Republic of Ireland, here in the UK, sorry, the Republic of Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, have that background in social care, so we really sort of get a feel and understanding for what providers' challenges are. And also, she'll probably tell me off for embarrassing her, but she was also a finalist last year in the Women Achieving Greatness in Social Care Awards in the Women in Tech for the Women in Tech Award. She was a finalist there last year, and we're very proud of her for doing so. And then my name is Chris Tanner. I'm the Market Development Director, and just like Lisa Jane, before joining Spirico, I have a background in social care myself. I've been a registered manager, a regional manager, and looking at some project consultants, mainly around innovation in care. So it was a natural leap when I joined Spirico. So today we're going to be looking at the digitisation, what digitisation in social care specifically, what it looks like in the UK and Ireland at the moment, the direction of travel. And that direction of travel really is about using technology, using the sort of digital revolution to really focus on personalizations and outcomes-based approaches. And we'll be looking at, moving from the idea of measuring and evidencing inputs and actually looking at those impacts, the real impact that social care has. How do we measure that? And then we're actually going to take a look at iplanit itself and what it looks like in real life in the system. What's it like to work with? What does personalization and an outcome look like in the context of iplanit's digital social care record system? So the best way to explain it is to show everyone, I thought. So in the UK and Ireland, the constituent countries within the UK and the Republic of Ireland, there's a real theme within those care sectors towards digitisation. And the main reason for that, there are well-established operational benefits in terms of efficiency, quality monitoring, your compliance, but also in England specifically, there's funding that's been made available through the Digital Transformation Fund to support providers to go digital. And it's also part of the national strategies in Wales and Scotland, in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland as well. The digital strategy is, and a lot of it is to pave the way for integration between health services, social care services, community services, to really sort of put people at the heart of their care, but also wrap all of those services around them. And a lot of these strategies, and if you look at sort of the CQC document, what good looks like, for example, if you look at the digital strategies in Scotland and Wales and in Northern Ireland, and if you look at HICWA in the Republic of Ireland, as well as New Directions, that real focus is on promoting personalisation, promoting outcomes. So moving away from that time and task approach and actually looking at outcomes. So most providers actually have these approaches already. Myself and my background in social care as well, we know that providers actually provide much more. They do much more than just those time and tasks. I think they've been hindered a little bit by commissioning practice and also the structures and processes around it. So really, what we've got a chance with this digitisation agenda is to really let technology pick up the heavy lifting and support the approaches, and by evidencing and highlighting best practice. And that's really, one of the sort of the fundamental principles behind iplanit is actually the value of social care. And from when we designed it, from version 1 onwards, we know it's very important. People need to know that they've had a shower, they've got dressed, they've brushed their hair, had their breakfast, had their meds. But that's really where care begins. And as a sector, we haven't been very good at showing off about how great social care is, because we know that that's a tiny part. What social care actually is people having family relationships and having special events in their life. It's about developing new skills, getting new jobs, remembering old skills. It's about going on trips, seeing places, going on holiday, the things that people really talk about: new houses, new places, their pets, getting fit, getting back in shape, getting better or getting back on your feet after spending in hospital, all of these things, remembering your past and that sort of reminiscing around your life. This is what social care really does. We know this, but those traditional sort of approaches, really, I think we do ourselves a disservice. And so what we've tried to do, and what we have done within iPlanit, is actually moving away from just measuring inputs and moving on to the impacts of service. This is really, so we want to evidence the true value of social care. So the benefits for staff, this means we're moving away from not just how we're going to support someone, but also why we're supporting them. What are we trying to achieve? What does the person want? How can we support them achieve it? And also, we can start evidencing that social care roles are actually vocations. They're not just jobs. The amazing staff at all levels in social care make a real difference to people's lives, their quality of life, from a day service to supported living to extra care to residential to nursing. There's a real difference, and it's a really special kind of person. But we don't. The traditional structures and around it haven't really let us show off about what it is we do. So by evidencing the impact, looking at the outcomes, and looking at how people's lives change, can really highlight that vocation. For providers themselves, it's about measuring the quality of your services, moving on from just measuring the quantities. And we know that, commissioning practice isn't always that supported. But if we can start collecting that data and start evidencing it, we can start saying, look, it's okay, you need a way to measure the services that you're buying. Then let's look at the quality and outcomes-based commissioning, and there are more and more moves towards sort of innovative ideas like that. And it's also about just talking about the cost of your services, really highlighting the value of your services, evidencing the value of social care providers. But the most important people in all of this, of course, are service users. And for them, for taking this approach is, it's moving away from transactions to relationships. It supports staff and care staff. We know that they know the people that they're working with. They know their backgrounds. They know how to spot good days and bad days. They know how to make a bad day a good day. But until we start sort of recording that and basing our systems and process around that, we can't show off about it. When we're leaving our daily records and our daily notes and everything else, all of those other record keeping around it, but we're actually telling someone's story. We're actually saying this is how this person's life has changed. This is the impact of our service. Whether that is, like those things that we just looked at, those family events, those social events. Whether it could be, health-based, but getting better after a spend in hospital, like a reable outcome, or a medical recovery, a mental health recovery pathway, for example. But also all of those social things. It's social care. That's where the social comes from. And by that slight change in approach, we're actually starting to tell people's stories rather than just a record of a list of things that we've done. And then it's about moving from how we perceive people to actually building their plans around their potential. What can they achieve? What do they want to achieve? What are their aspirations? And just what are their wishes and their wants? Not just just building a plan just to meet those basic needs. We know that's not what social care does, and we know that wouldn't benefit people either. But we can evidence that difference we're making to people's lives, and that's really what we're talking about when we talk about moving from tasks to outcomes. And it's about evidencing the impact over the inputs. And that's really the sort of fundamental design ethos around iPlanit, to put people at the heart of their care. So iPlanet as a system was built around the person and their outcomes. So it wasn't built for a specific type of service, but it's used in supported living settings, residential settings, community settings, because it's so adaptable and it's built around the person. So it's used in learning disability settings, autism, mental health, complex care, older people and dementia care, because it's built around the person. These things are universal, so we can, and also there's a lot of configurability within the system to make it adapt to those different settings, which we'll be looking at in another webinar. But out of the box, and what we're going to have a little look at today with iPlanet is personalised plans. And when I say personalised plans, even down to risk management is personalised. One of the things, my own experience in social care, I always wondered, we had these beautiful personalised plans, and then we just have generic risk assessments. So within iPlanet, even risk management is personalised and really specific to individual tasks and individual support plan items. And then we're going to have a look at the really comprehensive outcomes module. So really, this is a unique functionality within iPlanet, and it was basically the core around which we built the system. We can link those outcomes to quality frameworks. So this is where we come to evidencing the impact, evidencing the value of your services. And we can link those quality frameworks. It could be to HICWA standards in Ireland, CQC Chloe's, and soon to be the single assessment framework. It could be the standards for the care inspectorates in Scotland and Wales, or the RQIA in Northern Ireland. It could be internal quality measures, or your own KPI systems, your own quality management systems. It could be local authority contracting, and we'll have a look at that. And but this is where we really start to evidence the real difference social care makes and how it promotes outcomes-focused approaches without really changing the way that we work and the way that your staff work. And of course, most important people in all of this are the people supported themselves, and they can access their own plans, they can access their own outcomes, they can communicate with their team and invite guests from their circle of support. So it's really putting them at the heart of care. So in a second, I'm just going to hand over to my colleague, Lisa Jane. So for the demonstration today, we'll be using a desktop just because it's a little bit clearer on the webinar screen. But iPlanet is actually device agnostic, so it doesn't matter what kind of device you're using, but if you're using it on a tablet or a phone or any internet-enabled device, iPlanet knows it's on that device, and so it adjusts itself accordingly. So it looks and feels like an app, so it's sort of a bit more user-friendly at your fingertips as you're going around your daily business. So we've had a really brief look today at just a really small part of iPlanet. So we're looking at that we've looked at that from the evidencing the value of your service, looking at the impact of your service has, looking at those outcomes, how people's lives are changed through the services that we deliver. So what we've really looked at today is just looked at outcomes, plans, and a little bit of risk management. So these are part of the core iPlanet module, core iPlanet system. So iPlanet is a modular system, which means you can it's made up of core modules, which are for sort of everyday, everything you need for delivering excellent personalised outcome-focused care services. And then there are a range of optional modules, which you can then add to that system, depending on the service type. The reason we don't bundle the whole thing up in one go is, you might not need every single module. You might not need them all at the same time. You might not be relevant to your service type. So it allows a lot of flexibility, and we'll be taking a look at the rest of the system in sort of future series, in future webinars in this series. And I'll give you the details for those at the end there. But really, what we've looked at today is, that evidencing value. And I think this is a founding principle of Aspirico ourselves. We were founded back in 2006, and the original vision really was to build a system, build a solution around the person rather than just for a service setting. So since that version 1, back all those years ago, after 2 or 3 years worth of research, we've developed the system along in partnership with our customers. And our customers are care and support providers in UK, Ireland, Australia and New Zealand. Which is great because we get a lot of best practice feedback from, there's some really interesting ideas in Australia, for example, which we can translate into the system for use in UK and Ireland, for example. And we've got thousands of services using iplanit in all different settings across those countries. We won a number of awards, but really because of that background and that first vision, we remain a values-based organisation. And when we develop our system, but also our approach to client management and implementation support and all that are all underpinned by our Visa values, as you can see there. So, and what we've had a look at today really around that is looking at that sort of moving from inputs to impacts is evidencing value. And that's the first part of our values. The real value of social care is the impact that it has, the difference it makes to people's lives, how people are supported to achieve their potential, whatever that may be. It might be slightly different with a 25-year-old with autism to an 85-year-old in residential care, for example, but everyone still has their potential, they still have wishes, they still have those wants. And we know that this is what social care does, but we just need to be we need to show off more and evidence that, the value of our service. We'll touch on some of these other values as we go through the series. So the next one, we'll be looking at the configuration options. So as we said, with iplanit being built around the person, there's actually a lot of configuration options within it. So for example, a residential service for older people and dementia care may have different sort of planning requirements to a learning disability supported living service, for example. So there's an iplanit is used in a whole range of settings and different user groups for that reason. So in that the next webinar, we'll be looking at those options around what configurations, a whistle-stop tour of the modules that are available, and also some of the other options around integration, things like that, followed by everyday iplanit. So that's really, we're going to be looking at the other modules in the system that you would use on an everyday basis. So a care worker or a support worker going about their day, working with people, and we'll demonstrate that using a mobile device, so you can see how easy it is to use to sort of catch up, look at your dashboard, see what's happening, deliver a service, make your notes, leave your records. And I think we worked it out actually in an average day going through a shift with using support tasks, outcomes, leaving a note is about 14 clicks and a voice note. So it's really easy to use. So we'll show you how that works. And then another question we get asked a lot at the moment, particularly with digitisation being so high on the agenda across the UK and Ireland, is what happened. The system's one part of it, but how do we get it set up? What happens after that? Once we're going, how do we get our staff to use it? And we'll talk through that sort of partnership approach, what to expect when we're rolling out your iplanit system, what support you get after that, the training options, the best practice clinics, and all this wonderful support package that we offer alongside the product itself. In the meantime, to keep up to date with anything that's happening, then we are under Spirico on LinkedIn and under iplanit on Twitter. Or if you want some further information, or you want to see if you want to arrange a demo specifically, or you want some pricing information, anything like that, drop us an email at inquiry@aspirico.com, and our website is at aspirico.com. So the recording for this webinar will be available in a few days' time, and if you're already registered for this one, you'll get notification. You don't need to re-register for the rest of the series. So thank you very much for your time today. I hope you found it useful, as we just looked at one part of iplanit system, and we look forward to going into a bit more detail around the rest of the system in the coming weeks. Thank you very much.